Hey everybody, welcome to Doc's Autos. If you're returning, thank you, and don't forget to hit that like button below, share it on social media, whatnot. If you're new, please be sure to subscribe. Lets YouTube know we've got great content over here and helps us bring more content to you down the road. Today we are working on the Challenger. We've got the passenger side fender to get sandblasted and cleaned up. Quick look, I've stripped most of the parts off of it. Yeah, I've got all the parts off of it now. We had the old, one part left to get off here. The rubber thingy for the hood. Hold on here. Whoop. All right, now we're cooking, barely. So this panel, tough to see. Again, the lighting in here really sucks. I gotta fix that. We have a dent here. Hold on, we're gonna turn this around. Oh, here we go. There we go. Now we've got the panel where we can see it. We have a dent in here, right on the style line. We've got to clean that up. We have, this looks pretty good down here, not like the other panel that was dented right here. This looks good. Little dent right here to work with. Again, the top looks really clean. Little ding here to fill in, that's no big deal. But again, much like the driver's side one, sorry, this has some damage in here. Nowhere near as bad as we had with the style line as the driver's side, but this looks like it's a little bit out of shape, and we'll see more once we get it sandblasted. In this area here, looks like it's just not quite right, and I'm sure we'll see more once we hit it with the sandblaster. So that is our next step. We do have some damage down here. Again, we have this support, neat auto leveling system. We have the support underneath here, as you can see, so we can't just get behind this and pound it out. So I'm gonna see what's in here. I'm guessing there's already some body filler in here, so we'll get that cleaned out and just see where that leaves us. Lots of little dings and pock marks. I'm sure we're gonna need a little bit of skim on there, of course. And the bigger thing is we've got all these holes for trim, which would have been for the old faux louvers or vent and the fenders here, which didn't actually have them. They were just kind of put on there for show. And we're gonna fill those in as well as this fender had a side marker light up on top. We are deleting that, so we have that to fill in. And then just to confirm with Darren, we're gonna keep a radio in here, but I don't know if he wants to put an antenna back here or if he wants to have one somewhere hidden in the trunk or integrated into the windshield or rear glass. So I'm gonna check with him, and if we're not gonna use a standard antenna, we'll fill this back in as well and delete that. Actually go over and check on Bad Chad's site. He's got a great example of filling in a old antenna hole on his page from one of his projects. So otherwise, we're gonna go ahead and get the sandblasting stuff set up and get cranking. Alrighty, well, I've gone ahead and gotten everything all sandblasted off, and it took quite a while actually. Air compressor, way too small. Need a bigger one, but it gets the job done a little bit at a time. Did find a bunch more damage. Actually, just not a bunch more, just a little bit more than I had thought. Once we get all the paint removed, or in this case, rust, there's a lot of pitting. I don't know if you can see. Yep, look, hopefully you can. You can see a lot of pitting along here. So this is all the area that was kind of exposed and had some rust on it, versus some of the other areas like up here that had paint on them, you can see came out much more smooth. So we're gonna have to go ahead and throw some primer on this and just see how it lays down, if this smooths out at all. Did get most of the rust out of here. I'm gonna hit it again before we paint it, but that does leave us with the damage to be fixed. Up here, thankfully, is actually really straight and clean. There's a little ding here we've got. Little one right there, very minor. But then up here, we found another ding here. Hold on one second here. Let's go ahead and grab us a Sharpie. And I'm just gonna circle these things. So we've got one here, a little pock mark. Little guy here, little guy here. We know that's there. I'm just looking for the smaller ones that I might miss. And they're adding up. This here is a big blemish we know we'll find again. There's kind of a line right here you see that shouldn't be there. So that gets pounded back down. It's kind of my own little indicators of how we're doing it. I don't have a paint pen, deal with it. The rest of this line looks pretty good, just this area needs a little bit of help. So we'll get that taken care of. It looks like there's some other holes for trim that used to be here. Sorry, Sharpie. Have to fill those in. There's a pock mark here. There's just tons of little dings in here that I know when I hit with the first coat of primer and hit it with block sanding, I know I'm gonna find more. That's just how it's gonna go. And I'm sure I get it in different light. This area here had a bunch of filler in it. So this is gonna have to come up a little bit. Got a little mark to show you, hey, that comes up. So pound that from the back side. And then down here, we found a whole lifetime supply of filler. Here is kind of where the body is, and here's two big depressions here and here. So I'm gonna have to fit this back on the vehicle and then use my stud gun and pull these things back out because there's a support piece back here that's welded on the back side, so I can't just tap it from the back side. I actually have to hit it with my stud gun, pull it out, and then we'll hopefully have just a little bit of skim coat over the top when it's done. You saw us do that with a 52 quite a bit. So we've got all these holes here to fill in. Let me get out of your way, out of the shadow. All these holes here, I've got a car under wraps that still isn't running yet, but Darren and his buddy Jason are coming down real soon, and hopefully we'll get this thing going. But what I've got here is one of these fake louvers that should, if it's the right side anyways, fit in here. Yeah. Maybe it was backwards. Maybe it was backwards. Let's see. There we go. The end game was to fit in here kind of like this. And we're not putting those back on the car, so I've got all those holes to fill in. So if you need any spare parts like this louver thing, might be available. Otherwise, this is kind of the biggest area up front we've got to deal with. Looks like the style line here actually kind of got pounded in and ground in a little bit, so work on that. It's just, I mean, it's rough. It's rough, it is, but we've got to fill this in where that marker light was. Nice that we could actually get some of the old, what's this stuff called? I can't think because I'm warm and hot and I don't work when I'm hot. Panel bond or sealer, seam seal. Could actually find some of the stampings in here, which is nice, so we can just have a little bit of a point of reference of when these are from, where they're from. One over here. So I'm not sure what those mean off the top of my head, but say D4 496 M261. And what's this one upside down? L13788 or SS, something like that. We don't know, I don't care, but they're there. So pretty much we're just gonna go ahead and start tapping out some of these dents and whatnot. So probably do that before I fill in the louver holes, these fake things here. Also, there is some damage right here on this back edge. It's kind of bent in a little bit, so I'll have to tap that out. It's just stuff you find when you take off years of paint, or in this case, rust. And once you can get down to a shiny surface, you can get a better picture of what you're working with. So we're gonna do that. Probably we'll come back and do that because it's late in the evening and it's still over 80 degrees down here. So we may just call it a night, go up to the house and have some cold snacks and come back when it's a little bit cooler. Alrighty folks, well, it is the next day like I said it would be. Raining, go figure, right? Not a nice day outside. Let's go take a look. You can hear, of course, by all the wonderful noise from the roof, it's raining, but look out here, we've got rain. Hey, but at least it's not 90 degrees in here. It's cool, it's loud, oh well. We're gonna go ahead and get working on filling in these holes from those, from that kind of those louvers and these other trim pieces or badging that were up here. So go ahead and fill these in and go from there. Alrighty, not sure you can hear me or if you can see that very well. What I was doing is I had a penny and a magnet behind the little hole to hopefully help get the wire seated a little better and help fill in that hole without poking the wire through the hole. Worked really well for these small, these 5 small holes here. Bigger one, not so much, so I'm just gonna still freehand that. But the thought was you throw the penny behind there or flat copper stock. Weld won't stick to that, so you won't weld it to your panel, but it'll also act as a backstop to help get the welding wire to stay in place and dissipate the heat quicker. So we're gonna go ahead and fill in these other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 holes and come back. Well, we got everything filled in, started knocking down all of our fills, and I went and ran out of my floppy disks. Not floppy, this isn't 1982. Floppy disks, flappy wheels, that's it. Floppy thing. Anyways, ran out of those somehow, not quite sure how, because I've got tons of everything else. But gonna have to go out to the parts store, pick up some more of those so a guy can keep working on knocking down these hole deletes. And in the meantime, I may start working on a couple of these little pock marks, but until I get the panel back on the vehicle, I don't want to do a whole lot since I've got to do some pulling here, and I don't want to have these popped out since this whole area here has kind of got to come out and pull a little bit of a contour into it. I don't want to have a whole lot of other work I may have to redo. These little areas, probably not so bad, but this area is gonna need a pull. And maybe what I end up doing for right now is, flip this up. That beep in the background is just a run-in for my UPS I've got out here for the networking stuff and cameras, so don't mind the obnoxious beeping. Yeah, you can see I've got a little bit of fill left to do, a little pinhole here, a little pinhole there. Otherwise, the rest of them are pretty good. But what I was starting to say before I distracted myself is I'm gonna go and bend this back because this is required, it's upside down of course, required for mounting onto the frame of the vehicle. There's two bolts that go in to hold it in against the vehicle. So I've got to go ahead and get this straightened up so I can set it on there. And then maybe, just maybe, I can get a couple of the bolts in on this inner fender here, as gunked up as it is. Maybe at least allow me to get the fender mounted, and not much I can do up here right now since the bumper's gone and the little fairing underneath is missing. Well, actually it's not missing, it's over there, but it needs to be cleaned up. But maybe I can at least get these holes or these big dents pulled out back here by the fender and the style line and allow me to keep moving forward maybe just a little bit. Otherwise, waiting for parts sucks. Waiting for supplies sucks. Running out of supplies on a Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock, that sucks too. So we'll see what we can figure out if we can get that fender on. Otherwise, maybe I'll just drag the Chevy out and work on that for a little bit. So stay tuned. Alrighty folks, we're back. We were working on this front passenger side fender for the Challenger, and we do need to get it fixed back onto the car here because this area has to get pulled out a little bit, as does down here, and a little bit of studs and pulling right here. But unfortunately with the whole front end off here, we don't really have anything to secure this to. And we're still waiting for the hardware to assemble this and attach it back onto the inner fender. So once we get those parts in, we'll be able to make those changes. But for now, we've got to brace this up too, because there's with the whole front bumper off. But for right now, we are waiting on parts still. So our end game here is of course to get this panel cleaned up. But for right now, we're gonna go ahead and just work on getting both of these front fenders hit with that DTM primer, protect them from the elements out here. And until the rest of our parts come in, I'm gonna start working on the other stuff that we do have here, like the doors I can get working on. Those are complete and whatnot. The bigger problem I'm finding is as we're peeling this onion back under the cover here, in order to properly fit this panel, or the fender, I have to remove and replace the inner fender, but I can't do that and get all the spot welds out and back in easily until we pull the engine. And we're not gonna pull the engine for a while because we still need to get up and back to the garage a handful of times to do things like the new brakes and the fuel system and a host of things that are far easier to do with the vehicle running. So talked to Darren a little bit this week, and our game plan is to get pretty much the whole outside of the car primed and ready to go. That includes getting the roof skin replaced when we get that as well. That's in the mail somewhere on a truck, who knows. Classic Industries, you wanna send me a shipping notice or something? So that's kind of where we're at. It's kind of a Rubik's Cube or Tetris or Jenga or some other weird Chinese finger trap of delays and waiting for one piece to come off before the next piece. So main goal here is we're gonna get these pieces hit with the primer, work on our doors. The trunk is ready to go too. We can get that hit with the primer. And I've got this new filler panel coming as well. I can take out the glass and then dig into the interior. Darren had said that there was some soft spots. There we go, there's the interior. Darren had said there's a soft spot on the floor of the passenger side, so we'll look into that once the interior comes out. And we'll just keep working towards getting everything shot in primer, maybe not fully blocked, but at least 2 coats of primer, and then get the engine pulled. And we're gonna get that cleaned up. We're not gonna do a whole lot with it now. Darren wants to eventually do some other mods to it, but that's kind of down the road once we've already finished our work here, gotten it back on the road, it's treatable, and safe for some family fun. So we're gonna get that engine cleaned up, figure out something to do with the headers. Anybody got ideas for 440 headers that aren't a pain in the butt to work with? These here, do we paint them? Do we wrap them? What do we do with them just to move along here and get this thing going? But yeah, once the engine is out, transmission's out, we can quick clean up the engine bay, shoot that, put the engine back in, get that all wired up, and then get the rest of the car sprayed as well. Everything's gonna be the sublime green. We've got the hood, forget about the hood. That's gonna be another major challenge. It's in good shape. It's just a lot of material to work with, a lot of landscape. So again, once we get this thing primed, engine pulled, engine bay done, engine back in, or maybe depending on the seasons where we're at, we'll be able to just keep the whole thing up in the garage and shoot the color and clear right then and there, and then drop the engine back into it. We'll see how the timing goes. Again, you know, if we're still looking at parts I ordered 6 weeks ago or 4 weeks delayed, I don't have them yet. And parts I ordered last week are on a 4-week delay. So I might have them by Labor Day, Thanksgiving, January, who knows? So we'll stop with the delays, get these two panels or two fenders sealed up or primed up, and pick something else. What should we work on next? We've got the doors. Do we start gutting the interior? You guys get to pick. All right, everybody, we've gone ahead and gotten a bunch of parts ready for prime for the Challenger. Got a couple of 52 parts out here too. The couple of inserts for the doors, the window trims. But we've got the deck lid and two fenders here ready for just getting some base primer on them. Was not expecting some of our repair panels to take, you know, 4 to 6 to more weeks to come in. So, you know, fenders especially, get those protected. Trunk, it has some areas of concern, some little rust holes to patch. So I'll come back to hit these, of course, but I want to make sure everything is getting covered up. We've got hot, humid season now, so, and always stuff on my lens. Anyways, we've gone ahead and gotten a batch of our Nason primer mixed up here, so we're gonna go ahead and lay that down, and hopefully I can do it in one shot here. Let's see. Alrighty folks, well, we got that done. Panels look pretty good. I mean, again, remember, we're just covering this stuff up to protect it from the weather. We're not doing a full coat. We're not doing block sanding or anything like that. But we got a nice coat on here just to protect it from the elements for right now. And one of the concerns I had was these panels did have some pitting, but I think with enough primer, a couple coats, 3 coats of primer, we'll be able to pretty much eliminate this little pitting in here from the metal that was a little bit rusted. So on the other hand, it does bring out more dents and dings that I had not noticed before. So it gives us more stuff to work on, right? Like I didn't see this here before, or this little guy. This little crumple area down here looks a lot worse now that it's got some color on it. trunk didn't turn out too bad. There was a couple of dings I did not see originally. I think there's one over here, so there we go, one right there, and one more over here. So we'll take care of those. Just a little bit of skim, but the trim rings for the 52, those are good to go. We can put those away for a while. So for right now, that's gonna do it for this. We have a ton of stuff on order, but nothing's here, and we're all kind of waiting for those parts to get here so we can actually move forward, like the patch panel in the front fender, just a bunch of different things. So we may go back and flip over work on the 52 for a little bit since we have all those parts, and that's going to be more body work, welding and patches and filling like that. But as far as the 52 goes here, I think our next game plan is going to be start dismantling the interior, going through that, making sure those floorboards are solid, nothing wrong with them. And now I have paint on my lens. Go figure. Anyways, just start working from the front back like I've said before. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. That's gonna come up in an upcoming video. Alrighty, well that's gonna do it for the Challenger video for today. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button below. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram where we will have content before anything shows up here on YouTube. And until the next video, keep doing what makes you happy, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.